Okay. So we're on Shoftim, the book of Judges. We're on chapter 20. Last week we discussed the fact there was that horrendous incident that happened to the Gilead Givah, the concubine in Givah. Okay. And now the whole Jewish community was informed of it, and now they want to take action. They want to hear what happened. It was terrible.
Where are you?
On chapter 20, again, beginning of the chapter. That's where we're beginning. All Bnei Yisrael, all the children of Israel went out. But the Kohel, whole congregation joined together, like one together, like one person. Whenever they want to describe the whole of Israel, they always say from Dan until Beersheba. Dan had their inheritance in the north, and Beersheba is in the south. So I mean, everybody came when they heard this horrendous incident that happened in Givah. The Eretz Gilad El Hashem Mitzpah. Now they went ahead and they congregated to the place of Mitzpah. Okay, name of that place. Vayitziatzvu Pinos Kol and the heads of all the tribes, I suppose, stood Kol Shiftei, sort of all the tribes of Israel, Kal Am Elokim, congregating as the nation of God. And notice it says Elokim. So if it says Elokim, what does that tell you? Because what is the difference between Hashem and Elokim? Judgment. Says here they congregated together to in judgment. What shall be done with those people who, in fact, murdered that poor concubine? Okay, and altogether a word. Now they give us the population. A lot of people there. Arba me'os elef, 400,000 people. Ishragli, these just the foot soldiers. Foot soldiers. Sholef Charabu, do a sword. Okay, so many of them congregated together, and they're going to take counsel. What do you do in this particular situation with this horrendous incident that took place in Givah when that poor concubine was killed? Raped, I should say. I don't know how many times. Okay. Vayishma'u b'nei Binyamin, and all the people of the tribe of Benjamin, that this incident took place. All of Bnei Yisrael, they heard that all of Israel has congregated in the city of Mitzpah. By Yomru Bnei Yisrael, and now before they did anything, to give them, I got to give them credit for that. They just didn't hit them and take revenge. The Bnei Yisrael said to them, all the tribes congregated over there, said to the children, to the people of Yemen, what happened? How did this evil act ever happen? It's terrible. Okay, so the husband, well, it wasn't the husband, the concubine's man, Bayan Isha Levi. Remember, he was from the tribe of Levi. He answered and he testified what happened. Ish Yisha and Yitzocha, the man of the woman who was murdered. Vayomar, and he said the following: Hagiv also Asher Binyamin, the city of Givah, which is part of the tribe of Binyamin. If you recall, I and my concubine wanted to lodge there. And remember, an elderly gentleman invited them in, and so on. And the people of Binyamin, as we said last time, they acted like the Sodomites. They went ahead and surrounded his house. Said, "I want that man to come out." And eventually, they broke into the house and they grabbed the concubine. Okay, and they raped her. Who knows how many times? And early in the morning, she died. He says it briefly that the people of Gibah came up against me. They surrounded the house where I was, Lyle in the night. They wanted to kill me originally. If you recall, they wanted to kill him, but in place of him, unfortunately, he grabbed his concubine and they oppressed her and throughout the whole night. And so right there. And eventually, if you remember, she came back early in the morning to that house, in front of the house, I should say, and she fell down and she died. Okay. And
Why
verse
didn't he
6.
go home? Then he
Excuse me?
he took her home on a donkey, and then she died. She didn't die right there.
No, she died as she was on the right by the door.
Oh, I thought they
Remember,
went.
originally he took her home. Yeah, remember, for a long period of time, he was staying by his father-in-law, and then he left him and was on his way home, and he stayed in the city of Gibeah. But they acted like Sodomites. Yeah, but she died. I'm pretty sure it's in last chapter. I think it said she died on the front, right in front of the door. Let
I
me see.
thought he put her on a donkey, and then maybe she died, and then he put
No,
her
no, just see. Then he.
when he went
Let
home.
me just see. We'll see. Just see. Let me just see. And
Hi, Rabbi.
hi. You come over. No, it's yeah. After but she died. It says over here she fell out in front of the door, and her hand was on the front of the door, and she didn't answer. And then yeah, you're right. She took her on the donkey. Then he went back home. I think you have to assume she was dead at that point. Okay. Where are we now? Let's go back. Oh, yeah, it says verse 6 now. Back, okay, chapter 20, verse 6. Or wait. Did we do for verse 5? Okay, let's go back to verse 5. It says, and the people of Gibeah came up. They saw lie. It's a bias. They surrounded me where I was in that house in the night. They wanted originally to kill me, but instead of that, yeah, it says, and and they went ahead and they took my concubine and they oppressed her, and she died. Okay, verse 6. I took a hold of my concubine, why not terrible thing. He cut her into 12 pieces, remember? And I sent parts of her body throughout the inheritance of Israel. Because they had done such a horrendous act, disgusting act in Israel. Okay, next verse 7. And now he's speaking to them. Now you're all here, Bnei Israel. Well, take counsel and decide what shall be done. Verse 8. The whole nation got up as one person. They said, I don't want no one to go home. So what was it? No one should leave. We have to do something. No one should return home. Now, this is the thing that we shall do to give her, and now concerning her, big goral. What is a goral? It's a Passover word. Who knows? Goral is a lottery.
Yeah.
Now you're going to see the lottery is over here, or who's going to fight and who's going to go ahead and prepare food. That was very common. Abram also had that. They would gather many men together. A certain number of them would go out to battle, and other people who watch the utensils and the vessels and have food for them. So the same thing over here. They were going to have a lottery to decide who will fight and who will go ahead and prepare the food for us or all the things that were necessary. Where are we? Yeah. Oh, verse 9. Yeah, there it is. Now, this is what's going to do with Gibor. Let me go like, oh, that's where I ended up. So it was a lottery. every 10 people out of 100, Kol Shiftei Yisrael, among the tribes of Israel, Omer le'elef, comes out the same thing, 100 per 1,000, the elef for Bava, and 1,000 from 10,000, 10%, Lokachat Seidolam. So it means they were saying that 10% of all the people here will have to go ahead and prepare food for us and take care of our utensils, whatever we have, all our possessions. Lasos, Lavoam, the Geber Yamin, Yichol, Hana Volosha, Sob Yisrael, and the rest of us will go ahead and go against Geber Yamin, the city of Gibeah that was from the possession of the tribe of Yamin, and we shall take care of this disgusting act that they did to Israel. Okay. Okay, and all of those men who were selected to be the soldiers gathered together, congregated together as one to the city of Gibeah, and they're going to go ahead and ask them what happened. Before that, they do something else. Before they did just an attack. They want to hear their side of the story, and in fact, they wanted, if they know the people who did this horrible crime, to take them and I suppose to kill them. They're murderers. What they did. So, okay, verse 12. Vayishlechu shiftei Yisrael anoshim v'chol shiftei Yisrael lemor. And then all the men of the tribes of Israel sent some delegates to the tribe of Benjamin, saying, first of all, explain to us what kind of evil thing happened. How could you do such an evil thing? And they requested the following: that Torah, and now Tznu es on a shim b'libah, hand over those people. And obviously, they must have known those people who committed that horrible crime, and these men over to us. What do you say? We'll kill them. And Avara law of Israel, we will eradicate this evil from Israel. However, Binyamin didn't want to do that. And the children of Binyamin did not listen to what the president of Bnei Israel requested. Were they right in doing that? Were they correct?
No.
You say no?
Yeah, we have no answer.
I don't know. Well, it seems like in this type of a case, they should have done it. If they knew that whoever the persons were who committed this horrible crime, they should have. They were involved in murdering this poor concubine because she died from what they did.
They thought they should have. That's right.
No, that's what I'm saying. But you're going to see, what does it say in the passage? They said, no, we're not giving, obviously they must have known. They said, no, we're not giving over these people. So it seems like they didn't really care.
Why would we expect them to, if they already performed such a heinous act, why would we expect them to comply?
Well, you never know. Maybe, it doesn't say it here, but maybe they should have realized that maybe they told them, listen, if not, we're going to find out ourselves. We're going to get to these guys. And there'll be a lot of bloodshed.
Probably part of their culture.
But they were sodomites. At least some of them were like sodomites. So they didn't want to hand over. And maybe based on what they're thinking from their perspective, they did okay. They had the right to do that.
They were afraid the same thing would happen to them.
What do you mean? Who afraid that what would happen to them?
If the sodomites turned over the guys, the people who committed the crime, they say, well, the same thing could happen to them.
You mean to the people who gave over right. No, I don't know. I think based on this, if they would have given over those people who committed the crime, I think all Bnei Israel would have gone home, and that would be the end of that.
But you're assuming they have a conscience, and that was the culture. That was the culture of the town.
Well, it was not whole Binyamin. Remember, they keep on specifying it was the city of Gibeah, which this horrible incident took place. And obviously, they must have known because they said, we're not giving over these people. They must have known who it was. And they could have done something and say, well, we'll take care of them, or we will kill them or try them and in court and so on, and we'll have the judges decide. They must have had some sort of Sanhedrin then, or some sort of a. How many judges are necessary for a criminal law?
23.
That's right. So I'm sure they had some people around there who were judges, and if they would have brought those people to court, and if they see that really they are guilty, they've committed this heinous act, they would be put to death. But they didn't want it. We're not giving them over. Nothing. They don't do anything. Well, it seems like that was not a good answer. Or at least the people of Israel did not like it. Okay, where are we now? What pasuk? So again, the people of Israel requested from these people of Gibeah hand over those people, and obviously they knew, because it says that they refused to listen, because they must have known who they were. They refused to listen to and do what Bnei Israel requested. Okay, but look what it says in this verse. In verse 14, they asked for Bnei Binyamin min Arim to give us all the people of Binyamin, whoever from the cities of Gibeah, not just Gibeah, I suppose around, came to Gibeah, surrounding cities, with Seisla Melcham and Bnei Israel. In other words, they would rather go in battle and fight their fellow Jews than to hand over those who they know who did this heinous act. Okay, that's what they chose. Now, then the children of Yamin got together, not just from Gibeah, I suppose from various cities. They joined together, and it numbered 26,000 people, 26,000 men, who could go ahead and draw their swords. No, they were not fighting back. The Levad besides the people of Gibeah. So the people of Gibeah, that city, was ready with 700 men to fight. Okay, we call on Mazeh. Now, it's interesting. Note that the verse 16 says, "We call on Mazeh from all the Benjaminites. Shivamios ish bachur. There were 700 of them who were armed. Iter yad yamino. They were lefties. Kol zeh koleb even alashara lo yach al-sara lo yachdi. They were very good at the slings, and if they would go ahead and see just one hair, a thread of hair, they were able to shoot their stone onto the hair and not miss. They were really. Who else was it? What shofet? What judge was a lefty? There only one judge. The Torah, the book of Shoftim at the beginning told us that he was a lefty. And here we have again the second time we find that there were, in this case, 700 men of Binyamin who were lefties. Ehud, remember Ehud was the second judge of Israel, and he went ahead and came to at that time Israel was subjugated to the Moabites, and this fellow Ehud, the second shofet of Israel, came to the king of Moab, and he was able to, and it says he was a lefty, and he slew him. He stabbed him. He was in private conversation with him. And this, by the way, that king of Moab was the father of Ruth. Okay, well, anyway, over here also talks about lefties, and some of the commentators say that it seems like, and maybe it's true today, on certain things, lefties are better than righties. And that's why he keeps telling us that. Why is it so important to say that? Because it seems like when it comes to shooting or battles, what they use, weapons they used then, lefties were better than righties. At least that's what it says. Okay, that's why it tells us this. In fact, that's a good question to remember. That there's only one shofet that the book of Judges tells us that he was a lefty. It was Ehud, second shofet. And here Binyamin had 700 lefties. Okay, that's so we have Binyamin had then altogether 7. What was it? If the cities of Binyamin was 26,000 men plus 700 people from Gibeah. Okay. Now, how many people? Now it's going to give us how many people were assembled from Israel to fight Binyamin. Ish Israel has Pochadul about Binyamin, and all the soldiers of Israel besides Binyamin were Abba Meos Elef Ish, how many people? 400,000 men. Sholef Char, who drew a sword, calls the Ish Milchama. All of these were warriors. Oh, and last week's Pasha, who's called Ish Milchama? Can we daven it every day?
Oh, Hashem Yishmor Chama, Hashem.
Right.
Yeah.
It says Hashem. It's part of the Shira. We had it last week on Shirat Moshe.
Yeah.
Hashem Ish Milchama, Hashem Shemo. God is the warrior. God is his name. And here also is the same language. Ish Milchama. Okay. They were warriors. Okay, there's 400,000 men from Binyamin. Okay. All right. Now, before they had the war, they have to give a little credit to the Bnei Yisrael. They didn't want to really just have a war. They would prefer better that they would give them over the ones who committed this horrible crime and not have any war. And look what they do. This is talking about Bnei Yisrael now, before the war started. Vayakumu, vaya'alu Beis El. They went up and they went up to the city of Beis El. Vayashalu ve'elohim, and they asked of God. Okay, now, when they say they asked of God, what does that mean? They asked of God.
The Urim B'Tumim.
Oh yeah, good. The Urim B'Tumim. So it must have been but it's a problem over here. Where was that Kohen Gadol at that time if he wore the Urim B'Tumim? Where was he? What city was? Where was the Mishkan at that point?
Shiloh.
Yeah, Shiloh. Shiloh in English. It was really in Shiloh. So over here, now there's a dispute among our commentators. Some say when it says they went up to Beis El, the house of God, it means they went up to Shiloh when at that time when Mishkan was there, and they asked of God, through the Urim B'Tumim, the Kohen with the breastplate. Others say, although I didn't come to find out a reason for it, that for some reason they brought the Kohen Gadol and the came to Beis El. So it's the two interpretations. Either they went to Shiloh, which is known as the house of God, or Beis El is the name of a city, and the Kohen Gadol went to them. But whatever it was, they asked of God. Notice it by Yishala Elohim. I mean, they asked of God, we call him Elohim, because in this case they were requesting from God, can we go ahead and have midat hadin, strict judgment over here, and fight our brethren in war, or maybe not? Okay. Vayomeru Bnei Yisrael. First of all, this was the question also that Bnei Yisrael said, who should go up? Which of our tribes to go up against the tribe of Binyamin, in war? Bnei Binyamin. Vayomer Hashem Yehuda Batchila. And seeing God answered through that Urim B'Tumim, Yehuda should be the first ones to lead the battle. And why Yehuda? Why Judah? What do you know about Judah? Judah was a
Kingship.
they were
It was supposed to be Yehuda.
They were powerful. They were a powerful group. They were a very strong and powerful group, and that kingship came out of them. Eventually, David and so on, and Solomon and so on. So Yehuda was always the one who would lead in battle. Okay, so it seems from here that if they asked the Urim B'Tumim, they asked the Kohen Gadol to ask of God. It seems like God agreed that they should go. They should have a war in this particular case, since they did not give over those who committed that horrible crime. That's what it seems like. Okay. So Yehuda must have been leading the battle, and verse 19, Vayakumu B'nei Yisrael Baboker, and Yisrael got up in the morning, Vayachnu Al Givor. They all encamped around the city of Givor. Okay. Now the Lamilchama in Binyamin, and now the tribes of Israel went out and warred against Binyamin. Yeah, okay. Vayarchu itam ish Yisrael milchama al Givon. They set themselves up as soldiers, a certain whatever they, how they position themselves for war against Givon. Okay, remember what milchama comes from? One time said it. What smaller word do you see in the word milchama?
Lechem.
Lechem. So why is the word lechem in the word milchama?
Because a lot of wars are for economic reasons.
Right. They needed food. We find that later on too. That's right. So that's a lot of wars start because of bread, lack of bread. Okay. And then they set up their soldiers, in this case, against Kibbutz. Oh yeah, now a strange thing happened. God tells them to fight, right? He doesn't say don't fight. He gave them the green light. Go ahead and Yehuda shall lead you in battle. But look what happens. A strange thing happens in 21. Doesn't make sense. But children of Yom come out of the city of Gibeah. Look what happens. And they were able to destroy among the soldiers of Israel, and that day 22,000 people. That makes sense. Hey, God goes ahead, tells them, go up, have Yehuda lead in battle, and they lose the battle. They're losing 22,000 people. How did that happen? Why should that happen? They did the right thing, I think. They inquired of God. The Kohen Gadol had mentioned the request, and God said, "Go ahead, you should lead in battle." So why did they lose?
They didn't do something correctly.
What didn't they do? Something that they didn't do. We learned about it a couple of chapters ago.
So this is the shoreline you were talking about, Bobby?
If you remember, they had a pestle. That fellow made what do you call it, molten images and idols, and a Levi came and he invited him in to be like the Kohen of this type of sanctuary that he made. When that was done,
Was it really a Kohen?
they made him a Kohen, or something like became a Kohen, and here he goes ahead and does services to these idols and molten images. Did they do anything then? Obviously, it was known. Did anybody went ahead and said, let's go gather together, let's put a stop to this worship. It's contrary to Jewish thought. This man is serving idols.
So when they read the Urim and Tumim, when they read them, then they weren't able to interpret them correctly because they weren't really Kohanim?
What do you mean? This time when they asked the Urim and Tumim? Well, this was an authentic Kohen Gadol who was asked, and he got the answer to go up. But the question is, if God tells them go up and battle against Gibeah, why should they be losing? But there was something, they did something that we did a couple of chapters, we read about it a couple of chapters ago. Remember the Pesel Micha, the molten image that Micha set up? Remember he set up that temple of whatever it was, and they were worshiping idols, and many Jews went ahead and must have come to his temple. Did anybody protest? Anybody say anything? Nobody said anything then. That was okay. Nobody protested. And this okay, it's right for it was a terrible thing what they did. So according to Rashi, I think even brings it down. The reason why they lost is because when it came to that Pesel Micha, when it came to that idol and all the molten images that Micha made, and established really a house, a temple for worshiping idols, nobody protested. Nobody came around and asked the Urim to what should we do? That's what Rashi says. He said, since they did not do that, that's why they were punished when they started to fight the Gibeah. Okay, that's what it says, but it doesn't really, it's not satisfying. What?
Hashem's intention was to kill them, but they should all die. He told them to go and to fight.
Yeah, but they lost. Why did they lose?
So that was Hashem's intention, is to tell them.
So Rashi said, I'm looking at Rashi. Rashi says this. Then Bnei Binyamin destroyed many of the soldiers of Israel. Rashi says, they were punished. They did not take any revenge. A previous incident was just as bad. at least looking at it from the viewpoint of Torah, here is a man establishing a temple, worshiping idols and multiple images, and so on, and nobody said anything. So at least that's what Rashi says. And I didn't see any other answer why they lost the battle. Okay, maybe I'll find some. Okay. Oh, where are we now? Okay, so they had a battle, and how many people were destroyed? 22,000 men of Israel. Okay. Verse 22. Ish Israel. And okay, the people of the men of Israel then strengthened themselves. Okay, we'll try again. And they arranged the battle again. The second day, arranging their soldiers ready to fight against the tribe of Benjamin, like they did in the first day. Vayalu b'nei Israel, and b'nei Israel came up. Vayivku lifnei Hashem ar erev. Here again, look at this. So, b'nei Israel, now what are they doing? Seems to be doing the right thing. They went ahead and cried before Hashem ar erev until the evening. We'll get back to this soon. Then they requested of God, should we continue in our battle against our brethren of Benjamin? And again, Hashem replied in the positive. Bayom Hashem, go up against them. Now, notice when they first asked the God, again, pointed it out back in verse 18, when they went to Shiloh and they asked, it says, Vayishalu velo kim. So originally, when they did ask God, should we act harsh? Should we be very harsh with the tribe of Benjamin? Because I would say that kim means midat hadin, strict justice. But over here, since they lost maybe the first battle, so when they went to ask of God, it says, where is it? Where is it? It says, where's the? It says, Hashem. They resided before Hashem, and Hashem is Midas Rachamim, because they were thinking maybe we're too harsh with our brothers of the tribe of Benjamin, and maybe we should be that we should have done that. So they sat before Hashem, and if you look at the next verse, we'll continue that verse. It says, where is this? Where are we? We're on. This is 26 again. By Alucho bnei Israel kolom, and the people of Israel got up and they came to Beisel. By Yivku vayeshu sham b'fnei Hashem. And do I skip some?
No. Tell you about the 18,000.
But I think I skipped some, huh? Oh yeah. So. Wait, we finished the 23rd place, the 23rd verse, right? And Hashem said, go ahead and do the second day. Yeah, I didn't do that. I skipped the verse. 24 up to. Now the second day, Bnei Yisrael went ahead against Binyamin. And Binyamin went out towards them, coming from the city. Give up Yom Hashem the second day. Vayashchisu b'bnei Yisrael od shmonas asor elef ish arts. And again that happened. Because even though it said that God said, when they asked again, God said, continue, go ahead and do it. But again they were destroyed. Another 18,000 people of Israel were smitten. Called El Shofri, and all of these were people who had used their sword in battle. Okay, so again, this is the second time that they lost. Doesn't make sense. Okay, so verse 26. Vayalu kol b'nei Yisrael, and all b'nei Yisrael got up. Again, it says they came to Beisel. Vayivku vayishon b'nei Hashem. Notice again, they cried and they sat before Hashem. They did a lot of things now. Now just they went ahead and they cried out to God, and they fasted out of to the evening, and they went beyond that by Alu, Olof, Shlamim, and they offered burnt offerings and peace offerings to Hashem. They did the whole thing, everything that was necessary at that time. By verse 27, Vayish Alu, B'nai Yisrael B'Hashem, and B'nai Yisrael asked of God, again through the Urim V'Tumim, Sham Aron Bris V'Elokim B'Yomim Ha'im. And there was the Aron of God, the ark of God. That would be like the ark that they had the Mishkan. So not only did they have the Kohen coming with his Urim V'Tumim, but also the ark must have been taken out from Shiloh and brought to this place wherever they were congregating. And so it says, Sham Aron Bris V'Elokim B'Yomim. Those days there was the Aron Bris. Okay, the ark. Now it even mentions who the Kohen was. Pinchas ben Elazar ben Aaron. Who was the Kohen? Pinchas, the son of Elazar, the son of Aaron. Now remember I mentioned, I think it was last week, there was a dispute among our commentators. When did these incidents happen? That Pesach Micha, that the idol of Micha, and this particular horrible incident of the concubine and giver. Well, based on what it says over here, Pinchas was the grandson of Aaron. So many say, well, if that's the case, it must have happened after the death of Yoshua, around that period of time, not after Shimshon, not after Samson. It's not necessarily proper to say that Pinchas lived so long; it'd be hundreds of years. So anyway, some maintain this incident, whether it's the Pesach Micha, the images, the idols that Micha made, or this incident of the Peleus Begiva, of the concubine and Giva, happened after Yoshua died. That's what some maintain. But since Pinchas is still here. Oh, may the in those days he was standing there, and they requested for him to ask again of the Urim B'Tumim. Should we continue again with this war? 2 days we went to battle, and twice we lost. We had a tremendous amount of casualties. In B'nai Binyamin Achi, to have a battle with Binyamin, our brother, should be stopped. Now, it's by Yomer Hashem Alu Ki Mochor Etznena B'Yotecha. It says Hashem. He says clearly, go up, and tomorrow I'm going to hand them over into your hand. Hand Binyamin over unto you. Okay. And you'll soon see that's going to be when Yisrael will speak the people of Binyamin. Okay. By Yosem Yisrael Oravim El Givos a bit. And now it's the third day. Yisrael has now set up Oravim, the ambush. Yeah, now they set up an ambush against the Giva around the city. And I suppose we'll see how this whole battle will turn out, and we'll see. We'll do it next week. We'll see how, unfortunately, because of this incident of the concubine and giver, we're going to see most of the tribe of Benjamin will be totally annihilated. Not only the people of Giva, and that's why later on we get to Shmuel. And when Samuel was told by God to appoint a king, and at that time God told him to appoint King Saul, and Saul refused. What? I'm just a simple man. I come from the smallest tribe in Israel, Binyamin. I shouldn't be the one selected as the king, but that was the reason, because Shaul came from this Binyamin. Binyamin was considered as a secondary tribe, because of what that incident of this Peleus Begiva, the concubine, and he even mentioned it. I'm from the smallest tribe. I shouldn't be the one selected to be the king of Israel. But nevertheless, God said, "No, this is okay. I want you because I find that you deserve to be the first king of Israel." Okay. All right. So next, Miat Hashem, we'll meet Thursday. We'll have a pasha, and next week, Tuesday, we'll be able to finish this battle of exactly what happens.
Yes,